Hello, listeners, and welcome to a brand new program where we examine the birth charts of famous figures, celebrities, sports figures, and politicians to find out what really makes them tick. I'm Donna Saul with astrologer Francis Dunnery, and you are listening to Behind the Curtain. Many of you know Francis Dunnery as a chart-topping musician who's toured with some of the biggest names in music history. He's a music producer. He fronted his own band. He's toured the world, writing songs, playing music, and performing in front of hundreds of thousands of people. But what you might not know is the power of his astrology readings. He's been studying astrology for more than 35 years, and his expertise has been deeply influenced by top psychologists and philosophers. This he combines with mythological perspectives and I did that last week too. And the wisdom of Eastern philosophies. He calls his readings life-changing. Honestly, that's not an overstatement, Francis. I will say that. That is not an overstatement. You can book him at francisdunneryastro.com. Today we're talking not only about the energies of the sky we're living under currently, but also about Whoopi Goldberg. She's a polarizing figure and also an actor, an author, a comedian. She's incredibly credentialed, which actually surprised me. She has numerous awards from Grammys to Emmys, and she's best known right now for her very outspoken role on the daytime talk show The View. So that brings us to you, Francis. Welcome.
How you doing, Donna?
I'm doing great.
I hope you include on that list of things that you said. I hope of the people who influenced me. I hope you put drunks on there as well.
No, Francis, you're a very interesting
psychologists,
person.
Drunks.
No, do you want to do that too? Okay, I'll add that for next week. Great. That list is long, right?
He's been influenced by a lot of people, mostly drunks.
You know what? It's funny. I was sitting here this morning thinking about the show and, modifying the opening, et cetera, which I still tripped over, so that'll be gone next week, trust me. But I was thinking, what if we run out of people? And I just, slapped myself. I'm like, how are we going to run out of people? There's a million people here. We could do the show for years and never run out of people.
We will. That's the one good thing about astrology, because it's a moving, living thing. It never stays. It's not static. It's like the human condition.
Yeah.
The psyche doesn't stop. There's no you can't ever get to the point where that's it. I mean, I could do a reading for you today, and if I come back in tomorrow, we can get a completely different perspective on what's going down. That's why it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, years are different too. I think we talked about this last week. It's not, next week you're going to be mean, but it's not like that. It's a lot deeper, and it really, I think it identifies some of the traits in a person's personality and way of being that maybe the person didn't know before and thought that there was something wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong with them except where they were born, how they were born. So, but I think acknowledgement.
They'll recognize it when you tell them.
Every time. Right. Like I say now, every time I talk about you in astrology, I'm like, you got in my head for 3 days. I did not like it, but it was hugely life-changing. And I did, and I really appreciated it, and I'll never forget it.
But it's really just to become more of yourself. It's
exactly.
It's like telling a bee. It's like telling a bee it needs to go get pollen, or telling a rabbit it needs to kind of hop around and eat grass.
Yeah.
It isn't like it's not like it isn't like you're going to tell somebody something they don't know. It's like I didn't tell you anything you don't know.
That's true. Maybe had things I didn't want to admit, but.
You just probably couldn't believe that I knew it. That's all.
Yeah, those awkward moments, right? So, well, I would like people to actually have your astrology reading. So maybe I should stop here, because I'm telling you, people, we're joking, but really, truly, truly life-changing. We wanted to talk today about the moon, and you said Saturn's going direct, the 28th of November, and that's going to be a BFD. So let's get into it.
First of all, when you're doing moon predictions, that you're really saying what's in the energy that's in the sky. It's like what's running downhill. So if you collaborate with the energy that's running, things will tend to work out for you. So the Aquarian energy is a youthful energy. It's not about being trapped. If you're trapped, you're going to look for a way out. Anywhere you can be free, anywhere you can, and it's also to do with technology. I'm being very basic here. Also to do with technology. So you don't want to be stuck right today in some horrible job where you're trapped in a room somewhere. If you get because the moon isn't doing that. The energy is a freedom. It's a time to break out. Mm-hmm. It's a revolutionary energy. So it's a time to look for the future. It's a future-oriented energy. If you're wallowing in the past and about how it was back when I was 9 and all that stuff, that's not what it's doing. So if you want to have a good day today, think about ways you can break out of the things you're trapped in. It's a youthful energy. It comes from the puella eternus, which in Latin means the eternal girl, or the puer eternus, which in Latin means the eternal boy. And it's that energy that when you were a young kid, maybe like 3 or 4 years old, in the garden, just playing around with no responsibility, with no heavy duty, no weight, that's the energy of the moon today.
Nice.
So you don't want to be taken on like these horrible weighty things. It wants to be a lightness of being, and and if you kind of get into think about the an idyllic future, like a utopian. What would be the greatest thing you could do, and start going towards that? And that's what so when people, you read in the magazines and stuff, and they say, your lucky day is blah, da, 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 da. Well, yeah. Today would be the lucky day for Aquarius.
Oh, nice.
Or any of the air signs, either Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini. Those 3 is a lucky day today because they're all air signs and they're all favourable to that energy.
Nice.
So that's how they do it, right?
All these people are walking out of their jobs today. Thanks, Francis. I see him while we're talking, so that's why sometimes I laugh and people are like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm laughing at him.
Right, but that's what it is. It's so it's a good time to do that, to think of the future,
okay.
To think about if you're trapped in things, to think about moving out, and the energy of the world will be on your side. That's what it means. So it means you get in a raft. And you think, I want to get out of this, and the raft's going to, and it's downstream, and there's no effort. It just goes downstream. You don't have to kick or fight or anything. It just goes downstream. That's what it means today to have the moon in Aquarius. And obviously, if you're an Aquarian, sorry, I've got a squeaky chair. If you're an Aquarian, or a Libra or a Gemini, that energy will, it'll just take you down the street.
So is it for all signs or just for those 3 signs?
Well, some of them, it's. I won't tell you which signs, but some of them it's difficult because it squares it. So that's what I'm saying. That's how we look at it. So I would know for a fact that Aquarius squares Scorpio, for instance. So the kind of intimacy that a Scorpio needs, or the lack of the loyalty that a Scorpio needs. Scorpios have to have loyalty. If they don't have loyalty, they don't do well. And so the Aquarian moon would just jump on them, and they wouldn't like that because they want to be Scorpio. Whereas Aquarius is like, hey, we're all together in the room, and there's thousands of us, and we're all the same. And Scorpio is me and you in a cupboard. It's like that's the difference between the energy. You know what I mean?
That's whacked. Okay. Nice.
That's my take on it anyway.
Well, it's very valuable. It always helps to know who's going to, slap you in the head today. So this is good.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Saturn direct. You had said that that's going to be a big deal.
Well, over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of planets in retrograde.
Yeah.
I think I said this last week. I can't remember, but Pluto was in retrograde, and these are generational and huge clumps of energy. Whereas Mercury goes retrograde, it's like your computer breaks down, you get a flat tire, you miss the appointment, you forget about this, and Mercury retrograde is like a high-pitched noise, like compared to that, the outer planets, when they go retrograde, it's like it's a real deep, low rumble. And they've been retrograde. You've got Uranus retrograde, you got Neptune retrograde, you've got Saturn retrograde, you've had Pluto retrograde. So everybody's been running around thinking it's politics why they feel off. And it's not. It's because, there was 6 planets at one point retrograde. And the nature of it, Saturn was in Aries, so people were trying to get things done and they just couldn't get it done. Aries is that that straight shot, like it's like I want to do this now, like that. And so you put Saturn in there, it's like giving somebody a bag of cement. Aries goes, I want to go up the hill, I'm going up the hill, and Saturn goes, well, here's 6 bags of cement. Now, what are you going to do now? So we've all had these 6 bags of cement. Our arms are exhausted, and we're all sitting around wondering why. What's something weird? You hear that all the time. I just don't feel right. I feel weird, and we think it's because of like Nancy Pelosi or something, or Trump or something. We're doing. Oh, it's because of this, or Starmer in England. And the English are like, it's because of Starmer. No, it's because there's been 6 planets in retrograde. Pluto went direct last week, so that started to move. That was on the day that they signed that agreement with Israel. Whether that sticks, I don't know. But the Saturn goes direct on the 29th. And so all the things you've been trying to do, you've been held to task. You've been held back to make, because Saturn basically makes you do it properly. If you don't do it properly, Saturn will just give you a good kick in. Saturn it's a real energy. You can see Saturn, whereas Pluto is more to do with the energy itself. Is more to do with like the transformation of nature, like when the tree drops its leaves, that death of the leaves, you know, and the regrowth of them the next season. Saturn is like physical. It's like physical. What's the word I'm looking for? Responsibility. It's like it's all that old stuff. Responsibility. You have to. Did you chop the wood? It's like, I'm freezing cold. Did you chop the wood? No, then you're freezing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that has you worrying about.
Like that.
Is it like worrying about all the details, like people feeling? Because I hear a lot of people say that it's like everything that is undone is burdening them. But maybe they're just looking to those things because they think it's those things, but it's really just Saturn, you know? It's
Saturn. It's like we're all under the Saturn, like we're trying to get things done, but like in the air, that energy there's a restrictive energy on things that can't go forward. We're dying to go forward. We're desperate to go forward with the Aries. Oh God, yeah. You know, that springtime. Aries is the energy of the spring. When the spring first starts, everything, all the plants go, you know, we're out of here. Let's go. You know, they're doing that. But the Saturn, you put Saturn in there, and it's like, well, you can't do it until you've signed the papers. Well, you have to go and get did you fill out the form 396? Well, the library wants you to call them because they can't release the documents until it's like that. It's all that stuff. Yeah. Mm. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So that's gonna lift around about November the 29th.
All right. Well, that's
and
good.
And you'll hear me talk about this on the show every week, because between now and March, there's a whole. I mean, Mercury goes retrograde. Actually, Mercury goes retrograde in November,
right,
which I'll tell you about that next week. That goes on the 9th.
Okay.
But the Saturn, the big deep, like them ones, like the big heavyweights, they're going to start rolling out between now and next March. And by next March, even if you're 93, you're going to feel like you're 15.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Because they take the cement off our arms. It's like, there's no more cement bags in your arms. You can that's it, you're free.
Let's take a break. I mean? Yeah, I do, and I can't wait. Let's take a break. Yeah, we should take a break. So we have to Whoopi. I don't want to run out of time like we did last week. That was on me, and I apologize. So let's take a break. It'll just be a minute. We'll come right back. I'm Donna Saul with Francis Dunnery, and that's it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Curtain. I'm Donna Saul with Francis Dunnery. We've talked about the moon. We've talked about Saturn. We're going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg. But before that, if you'd like to book a reading with Francis, you can do it at Moonstone and Sage, or you can do it at francisdunneryastro.com. And Whoopi Goldberg, when we talked about doing her, everybody has a reaction to this woman, right? When I was looking her up, I looked at Wikipedia. I had no idea she was so credentialed. I mean, so many awards, so many accolades, because all I know her from is The View, and I find her incredibly annoying, like most of the population, it seems. So I know you said she has a fascinating astrology chart, and I know we all want to know about what the heck happened there with Ted Danson, because what was that? So wherever you want to jump in is okay with the rest of us.
Well, the first thing, I mean, when you do astrology, you can't look at people and judge them like that. That's the thing, like somebody, it's just whether or not they're being authentic. So, and she's being authentic, the girl's being authentic. And same as Trump. You know, some people might, I can't stand Trump, but he's being authentic to his nature. And so, as an astrologer, it's not my job to, like, judge anybody. You know, like, you don't go into these things like, well, you know, I carry about 1,000 secrets of people, you know, but that's not really my job, is to pass comment on what they do. It's nothing to do with me, you know. And but Whoopi's the same. And so when she's got Aquarius rising, so she appears to be the freedom spirit. She's free and she's progressive and she's liberal. You know, all of these things that the ascendant is like your front door. So she appears one way, but when we look behind the curtain, she's absolutely not that. She's got so her Aquarius rising gives her that kind of liberal, kind of like progressive is probably the better word, like that progressive outlook, as if she's like a woman of the times, and, like, you know, she's got that type of thing going on. But when you look behind the curtain, you can see that she's probably depressed more than she isn't.
Really?
She's got such a serious, dilemma here. She's got Saturn in Scorpio conjunct the Sun in Scorpio, and people with that are often worried a lot. So, I mean, some people it works like really well because it means that they'll have a deeper understanding of their own emotional capacity. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes she also has the Moon in Scorpio and she has Mercury in Scorpio, and they're all in a big clump. And the Scorpio thing of loyalty and trust, and the Scorpios demand that, like they need that, like we need water and we need air. You can't really operate as a Scorpio on the planet without that sort of thing. But when you put Saturn in amongst that, especially on her moon, it means that this is a person who can't trust anybody. That, like, this is what's behind. Like, it looks like she's a friend of the. You can't have a relationship with this girl because she can't be vulnerable. It's impossible for her to be vulnerable in any shape or form, especially with her moon. She's not safe. Like if anybody knows, anybody knows anything about her, then that's a threat to her. She can't do so. She's dreadfully serious. Like, she's unbelievably serious. Like, like the world isn't that happy-go-lucky. Because Whoopi Goldberg, I mean, I didn't really take much notice of her growing up, but I never saw it as like a polarizing figure. I just thought she was just some girl who changed her name to Whoopi Goldberg to, like Elton John changed his name to Elton John to, often entertainers do that, and she picked a kind of, she picked she's not going to get ignored with Whoopi Goldberg as her name, you know what I mean? So she's gone for it. She's got Venus in Sagittarius at the top of her chart in her 10th house, so she appears to be this adventurous, this open, this character who'll say stuff, like happy-wise. So her career view and like how she is, in her career and her presentation to the world are completely opposite of who she really is. Wow. Like, if you met her personally, she'd be dreadfully serious, and she'd be wary of you no matter what you did, no matter how long you know her for. This is a girl who's wary of you. And it'd be difficult for her to operate because she probably goes through bouts of depression, like, a lot, and also, see, what the Scorpios, what I always tell them is, there's no point looking to the outside world for loyalty. It doesn't, because you have to manage then the entire world. Is he loyal? Is he loyal? Is she loyal? Is she loyal? Is she? The way that Scorpios do it is the best way to do it is to prove the loyalty in the world by you being loyal yourself. That's what Scorpios have to do, because when they're loyal, then they prove to themselves that loyalty exists. And it exists everywhere because they carry themselves everywhere. Like trying to control everybody it's like when somebody gets out, that hurt my feelings. Well, deal with it. Don't expect everybody to come around, to alter their behavior to your sensitivities. It's like, if you deal with it, then nobody has to do anything. As opposed to, well, hey, Donna's coming, you can't talk about fish. She's sensitive about people talking about fish. Well, don't talk, and everywhere we go, it's like, oh yeah, but Donna's going to be there. Don't talk about fish. Hey, but make sure you don't say fish in front of Donna. But if Donna just deals with her fish stuff, then that's all right. You know what I mean? Or rabbits.
Or rabbits, right?
Don't talk about killing rabbits in front of Donna.
Well, true. Yeah, true. Yeah.
But if Donna just takes care of her own rabbit fears, her bunny fears, then it's all right.
Deep dive into Donna.
Because then you prove to yourself that thing exists in the world. Because we just need to know that the things where we're sensitive about. For me, with my moon in Sagittarius, for instance, I need to know. I'm like Trump. I don't want disappointment in the world. I don't like it. So I would always look for a way out. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do in my readings. I always try to develop a really optimistic spirit for people. I let them know. I don't really counsel people. I educate them about their own process.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I need that.
Mm-hmm. Well, how does that work for her? Like, if she's always, like, it's such a juxtaposition, right? In terms of being so serious, but that she has that progressive, liberal, everybody's great kind of scenario.
Appearance of.
Yeah, but doesn't that cause like a lot of inner turmoil, or does she?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's my point.
And she's aware of it? I mean, she would be aware of both sides of her personality.
Not unless she's had the conversation. If you don't have the conversation with people, it doesn't matter what it is.
Can you imagine?
That's why. Well, that's what most people are in conflict with, unconscious aspects of their own nature that they don't understand. And it isn't like, it isn't like, let's say somebody's got high expectations and they're always disappointed. Then it's not the world that's the problem, it's their expectations. But if they don't have the conversation to know that, how are they going to find? They'll just think the world sucks. Oh, I thought it was going to be this and now it's this. And so, as if the world is wrong, but the world isn't wrong. It's just their expectations. So, if you learn to understand these things about yourselves, you can take off massive amounts of stress and anxiety out of your own life.
True.
If she understood what she needs, the loyalty she needs to prove it to other people, and she needs to be without being vulnerable in some way. She's not going to get to the golden castle. She won't get there because she won't be. She'll die unsatisfied. It doesn't matter how much money you got.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people think, well, I've got, most of us think if we've got loads of money, then I'm going to be safe and I'll live longer. Mm-hmm. Ultimately speaking, and I'm doing a whole thing on this right now. What we want is more time. That's what humans are after. There was a great thing on Blade Runner where on that film Blade Runner where they looked to meet their maker to get more time. It's a beautiful metaphor for humans. We always think, well, if I've got money and I live on the main line, I'll get more time. No, you won't. If I'm famous, I'll get more time. No, you won't. Mm-hmm. Well, if I have a house with gates on the front and armed guards, I'll get more time. No, you won't. There's other energies at work here. So for Whoopi, she's going to need to be vulnerable, and she's going to need to actually try to put her trust in, she's probably had her trust beaten up in the past. There's probably people either cheated on her or she'll certainly perceive it like that. If you're in a relationship like poor old Ted Danson was with her, like he'll definitely have been through that ringer. Now it's also interesting that she has Pluto and Jupiter in the 7th house, which is a relationships in Leo. So she's looking for people who are famous. She won't date you if you're just ordinary. You're going to have you have to have something about you, otherwise you've no chance. So she's looking, and they bring her opportunities. They have to bring her an opportunity to further herself. And if they don't have those credentials, Whoopi's just not interested in you.
Wow. What do they call that? They call it it's like paying the toll, but it's like you bring the kings and things you bring. It begins with a T. I can't remember that word. Whatever. Moving on. But if you can't come to her unless you have something to offer her, right? Like
yes,
not tithing.
But here's the
else.
thing. But let's not judge it, because I'll get to her. I'll finish up with her judgment, because she's incredibly judgmental. But let's not judge her because we're astrologers here. We can't. This is her being herself. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What we need to do is let her know that there is actually value to people other than them being prominent or bringing her opportunities to further her own shine. She uses other people to get her own shine.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too? Regardless of what it is that you're talking about, whether it's a loyalty issue or a trust issue or whatever issue, if you need that, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you need that as the way you're designed, the way your astrology makes you up, you almost raise the bar so high, you're almost setting yourself up for disappointment potentially if you don't know it, because you're expecting everyone to come at you in a certain way, so you're always set up for disappointment when it doesn't happen.
But in this case, she just wouldn't entertain people who didn't have that, and so that's and that's her fate. That's a good subject for next week. Fate is a fascinating subject, and so her fate would have it be that these people bring her stuff anywhere. That's how it goes. Because that's her life. You know what I mean? If
because she's famous.
Saturn, well, no, just because whoever, like the people if you had Saturn in the 7th house, then you'd have a fear of being judged, which would bring about people judging you all the time.
Yeah.
When you have an expectation like she has that people are going to bring you stuff all the time, that's what happens. So she's not being like, what I'm trying to say is we shouldn't judge her because of that, because that's the usual thing to do in the social world. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, she just dates people because of the... No, well, that's true, but that doesn't mean to say she's horrible because of it.
Right.
It just means to say that it would be... You've always got to look at the other side of it. When you look at the opposite polarity of Leo, Leo is very, seeking itself at the center. The opposite is Aquarius, which is the inclusive group. You've got to have both wings flying, otherwise the energy won't work. They're just two wings of the same bird.
Interesting.
And so there's the Leo bird, which is me, And then there's the Aquarian bird, which is you, we. And the two of them need to, like, that's how you balance people out. So when you talk to people in their charts about how to operate more smoothly and bring about their opportunities towards themselves, that's what it is, by giving them both sides of the polarity, rather than just let her know there's value in people, just other than they're gonna bring her something for a career or something, or be beneficial. It might be nice for her to bring something to people, because this is a woman who's just looking, or a person who's just looking to, who expects people to bring them things, and of course they do.
Yeah.
That's why she's had all the accolades. They just give it. People just give her stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Now the last thing I'll do. What have we got? 2 minutes left on her.
Yeah. But we can use them. Go ahead.
We've got Mars and Neptune in Libra, so in the 8th house. So this is somebody who's a really, really harsh judge. It's also somebody who seeks fairness. Like, there's somebody who will seek fairness and seek to, like she's a contrarian. So if you say yes, she'll just say no. She's like John Lennon was a bit like that. If you were nice to him, he was an absolute crazy. He was horrible to you. But if you're horrible to him, he was all like nice and apologetic. You know what I mean? So this energy, I think this is who she puts on The View. And also because it's all her stuff and judgmental stuff is in her 9th house, it means that she plays God. And this is behind the curtain. She really thinks that she's God. This is a person who thinks what she says is coming straight from God.
Wow.
And her judgment it's like she's got one of them Old Testament gods in there. Thou shalt, thou wilt, she's got that inside of herself. She has to live with that for herself. But she will, even though she presents herself to the world as like, because I don't watch The View, so I don't know, even though she presents herself to the world as like, hey, yo, bro, I'm progressive and I'm hip, man. I'm hip, I'm a hipster, and she's got an Old Testament God in there that Ted Danson will know all about.
Wow.
It'll make him grow his hair again.
Woof. He's not going back there for sure.
So Whoopi, no, he won't, definitely won't. There won't be anybody goes back to Whoopi, because she's got that Old Testament God in there, and that's what's behind the curtain.
Wow.
Under the appearance of fairness and which she all does, in the judgment of people, bring the things and the accolades and that lies the Old Testament God. You're dealing with Jehovah or something like that. One of them types. Actually, probably one of them, like, really, thou shalt, thou wilt.
Like the Old Testament God, right?
The Old Testament gods. Them, they weren't messing around. Them gods.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, at least that's what we're told, right? That's crazy. That was so fascinating. I'll tell you. I didn't put a lot of stock in astrology. I'm sorry to say that, until I met you, and now I'm like hanging on every word because I think it's fascinating. Because
I didn't either.
Yeah, right. You spin it in a way that makes it so much more, I don't know, not friendlier for sure, but it's just fascinating what you can know about yourself if you sit down and spend an hour with you. It's just incredible.
But see, I don't know whether I'm right or not. I'm just put her chart up this morning. I don't know whether that's right. I'm just saying that's what's on her chart.
Yeah, well,
if anybody knows it, we won't really know until anybody knows it, but that's what's on her chart.
You can call Ted. Let us know next week.
I'll call Ted.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap it up. Thank you. Francis will be doing astrology readings at Moonstone and Sage. You can look at the calendar, find out where he is. You can also reach him at francisdunneryastro.com. Thank you, Francis. We'll do this again next week. This has been Behind the Curtain.